Hey everybody, this is me, Lance Mike, Stranded Viking. I'm here with another campaign log, whatever. I'm going to be highlighting the very first session of my son and his friends group. We played last Friday. This is the same world that I've created myself. It's got a lot of things thrown in from different books I've read and what have you. It is heavily influenced by the Dark Sun world created by TSR back in the day. It is also, as I said, like both groups are in it, so it's kind of a Western Marches thing, where if one group decides to go and investigate something and they do that during that session, if the other players decide to go to the exact same place, they are going to interact with things that have already been interacted with. So actions that other players have done, the other group has done, will affect what the other group does. And so my friends that I've known for decades, they did the first session. I did a video for that like a week or so ago. If you want to go check that out, you can. I eventually want to do more with this than just me kind of retelling the tale. But again, I'm just kind of doing this for myself, just to kind of keep track of this. And also, like, I can go back to these things and look at them and say, what happened exactly last session kind of thing. I'm trying to get into the habit of taking really, really good notes while we do this. So hopefully I don't forget the things, and also hopefully I maintain this process of doing these updates on a regular basis. Anyway, so my son had his friends over. He invited the ones he wanted. Only two of them were able to make it. A couple others had some other school stuff going on, so no big deal. We had a brand new kid who had never played D&D before. He was really interested in joining and playing. He had an awesome time, and he was just great. He was all in from the beginning. He was calling the other players by their character names instead of like his friends' names, which is something I love. It's something that I have a problem doing when I'm playing. It's very difficult for me to remember that, because, well, and it's just tough, right? It's like if I've known Jason, my buddy Jason, for 40 years, and I got to remind myself his elf is named Devin, and I have to use that name instead. It's just difficult to get into that situation. But we rolled up characters. We did the classic style 4d6, put them where you want, roll 7 times, drop the lowest score. They ended up with a fighter, named Fergalbug. They're all humans. A fighter named Fergalberg, a sorcerer named Sadler, and a cleric named Walther. And where my son and his friends came up with those names, they named them after teachers they have in middle school, which I thought was really cool. It was like, what should we name our? And they were like trying to. And in the past, they've made joke names, like, where they just, name something, like, I'm going to name my guy Trash Can or whatever. But they tried to, like, really think about it, and they said, hey, let's name them after some of the teachers they have. And so they did that. They took the last names of the teachers they have, and they made their characters, which I thought was kind of a neat way to do it. They started playing. They're basically kind of the same starting situation. If you haven't watched the other video, I would suggest watching it, because you're going to kind of know a little bit more of this world as they explore it. You're kind of beyond the inns or whatever. You're going to know what's going on. Character creation took us a couple hours, which is fine. And honestly, with a new character, with a new player, I should say, that was actually pretty helpful to have those couple hours just relaxed and talk about it. But my son's friend McGuire, it's my son Caleb, his friend McGuire, and his friend Bryson that are playing. So they have been commissioned by the Holy Church to do missions, because they're on this giant island, the same island that the other group is on as well, that needs to be explored. And it's pretty classic, keep on the outpost type of setting. There's a main city, the city by the name of Solus, and that's Solis, not Soulles. But maybe there's a play on words there. Maybe I got something going on. Who knows? And then there's some farming villages around, but other than that, it's a dense jungle and a mountain range on this island. And they were offered pretty much the exact same quests that were offered to the first group. And I was kind of wondering what's going to happen. Are they going to pick the same quest? Because that'll be kind of interesting. But they ended up picking a different one. They wanted to. There was rumors of there's a farming village, and there's been rumors of livestock going missing, and people seeing late night prowlers in the village. And so they traveled to that village, a village called the Reach, and they immediately just thought werewolves. There's got to be werewolves in the forest. They thought that was the case, and they were all in on the idea that there were werewolves in this town. Um, I knew there wasn't, but that's fine. And so they got to the town. They went to the church within the town. They talked to the elder. They talked to the priest of the town, the village, I should say, and they told them of like the very first sighting of not only did some of the sheep go missing, but also one of the shepherds went missing as well. And so they said, well, we need to and go to that. It's getting late. Let's go to that pasture and let's inspect it, because they said most of these attacks, most of these things happen at night. And so I was really impressed with the players, right? I mean, you got to remember these guys are all 13 years old. It's tough to kind of squirrel them down a little bit, but they were like really thinking it through. They're like, let's go there and let's try to figure it out. Let's try to, like, and see if we can see anybody, like go and set up as guards and just listen and see if we can hear anything. So as luck would have it, it was a full moon that night, so they had plenty of light. There are three moons that are on the uh, like kind of very Dragonlance-esque. Like I said, I steal a lot of stuff. There are three moons. There are a pale moon, a red moon, and a black moon that nobody can really see unless you know something about astrology. But regardless, there was enough light so they were able to see, and they went and just were staying out there in the pasture, and time kind of ticked on and ticked on and ticked on. And at one point, somebody like decided they were going to light a lantern. And then when they lighted a lantern and they walked over to the edge of the forest jungle or what have you, they looked and they could see there were like dozens and dozens of what looked to be blackbirds or crows sitting in the trees, staring at them. It was very creepy. And like the lantern light kind of reflected off their eyes, and it was just a creepy moment. And one of the players decided he wanted to like scare some of the crows away. So he picked up a rock, threw it at one of the trees where they were, and only like two of the birds flew away. The rest of them just kept looking. And that really kind of creeped them out as well. So they decided they were going to go walk in and just check out the birds and see what was going on there. Somebody thought maybe like they were dead birds that had been like stuck to the branches and whatever. So they crept into the jungle, and one of them got a really good like awareness check. We call them awareness checks in our system. Basically, it's perception. Got a really good awareness check and thought that something was off. And Walther, the cleric, my son's character, decided, you know what, I'm going to cast Detect Evil because this feels weird. And so he cast Detect Evil, and he noticed that like about the birds that hadn't flown away were all radiating evil. And not only that, but there were these two large clumps of like foliage, like bushes, that were radiating evil as well. And so one of the sorcerer by the name of Sadler, McGuire's character, said, you know what, to heck with this. He casts his magic missile spell and he blasts one of the bushes just to see what happens. And they hear a yell like ah, and they realize that it was a person in camouflage that was hiding. And then the other clump, all of a sudden leaps up and runs off into the forest. And so they went to go look at the person that fell. They noticed that he had been killed by the magic missile. I mean, he had they rolled like 6 points of damage or whatever for their magic missile. Person had like 4 or 5 hit points, I forget what, but it was enough to kill them. And they chased after the other one, and they lost track of him, so they couldn't figure out where he was. And then the fighter Fergalberg realized that he was running into the jungle by himself because the other two had stayed behind to look at the person and realized that probably wasn't a smart idea. So he turned around and came back, and they looked around. They searched the body. They realized this person had like face paint on and had this weird stone pendant of a bird on, all these markings of being kind of a religious type of situation. And they also noticed that had all these feathers in their armor. Like they were wearing like a hide armor, but the hide armor was covered in feathers. And they said, okay, that's really weird. And they did notice also when the person ran away, the evil birds flew after the person that was falling. So they said, okay, that person kept those birds as like a pets or something, right? There's something going on there. So they decided, let's go and see if we can find that guy that ran away. And so they followed the tracks. They were able to, because the person wasn't really trying to hide their tracks, they were able to follow them. And they followed it to like an old, like ruined, it looked like a ruined house, a stone house that they found in the jungle. And they started inspecting and started looking around. And they were, once again, they moved, they found like there was like some weird like a tarp or a covering, and they moved that, and they found a trap door. And they also noticed that, like, pretty ingeniously, like they noticed that the tarp had a cord wrapped to it, that and there was like a pulley or a system of pulleys that basically, so when the trapdoor was closed, it would knock over a weight that would drop the tarp on top of the things to hide it after somebody goes down. So they debated for a little while, like it's getting kind of late, maybe we should head back, maybe we should stay, and they're trying to like figure out what they wanted to do. And so they finally just said, you know what, let's go in and let's open it up and see what they do. So they opened it up and they saw stairs, of course, leading to a dungeon, which they got excited about. And then they climbed down the stairs, and they just ended up in a chamber, and they started to look around in the room, and they heard the noise of what sounded like bird songs and the sound of a raven or a crow. And they started following those noises, and they ended up in another room where they had a very they had a battle with there was two gentlemen playing. They were playing cards at a table, and they both turned around and they said, and Fergalberg, he said, oh, hey, what are you guys doing here? And then they said, that's what what are you doing here? And he said, oh, there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to worry about. And he walked into the room, and then the person that had moved to hide by the door, as soon as Fergalberg got in, they slammed the door behind him, trapping him in the room with the people, and they were all the face paint and things like that, like cultists. I mean, so there's like this weird cult of the crow ravens, actually, that they're discovering. And so then combat happened, right? And the combat went great. We're using the Mike Merle's idea of combat, where like if you're making like if you're attacking with a weapon, you roll a d6. If you're casting a spell, you roll a d12. If you're attacking with a ranged weapon, you roll a d4. Things like that, and then you start at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until everybody goes. Just look up the initiative system. You can find it. It was something that they were like play testing for like sixth edition D&D or something like 4 or 5 years ago, and I really like it. I think it works really well. So a very bloody but and dangerous combat happened. Fergalberg almost got killed. He had 9 hit points, and like the first hit, he was missed a couple times, and he got stabbed. And with a guy with like their kind of leader, stabbed him with a longsword, and I rolled the damage, and it was 8 points of damage. I mean, so he took down to one, and I remember all were like, because that's like their meat shield, right? I mean, the sorcerer like was staying behind him and casting spells, but they were able to save the day, and they killed the other cultists that were in the room. And when they did, they heard a voice cry out in the darkness, something along the lines of, it's like, followers of the God King, leave this place immediately, or you will meet your doom. Something evil. And we had to end at that point. The kids, it was late. They needed to get home. But they were super, super excited. And like I think, yeah, it was McGuire, Sadler. He said he was like, "The doom's coming for you," something along those lines. Everybody laughed, and then I said the voice goes, "We shall see." And so now they have a person somewhere in there that they gotta find, and they're excited to find that person in the dungeon. And so yeah, now they're excited to play again. We'll play in a couple of weeks. Hopefully, there's 2 other kids that are in the group as well. Hopefully, they'll both be able to make it. My sons, well, they're all friends. Alex and Ike. Hopefully, they'll be able to make it, and we'll have more characters, and they can have more interaction. I was really impressed with how well they were able to play and have fun. There was a few times when like the conversation kind of devolved, and they started talking about like NBA basketball or NFL football or things like, or just people at school, just talking about, oh, hey, did you see what so and so did at lunch yesterday? And then every once in a while, I would just let them talk, right? And then at one point, I remember all of them said, "Oh, hey, it's like, sorry." They realized they weren't playing the game, and I explained to them. I said, "Hey, when me and my friends get together and play D&D, that's normal." I said, this is a social setting where people come to sit down at a table, and the game is fun and we like playing the game, but we're also there to reconnect with friends, to have conversations, to laugh at jokes, to talk about our lives, talk about the things that are bothering us, talk about things that we're happy about. And that's why, ultimately is a facet of meeting and playing and having a good time together. So uh, it went really well. The youngins had a good session, and I'm excited to see where they go. After we brought everybody home, my son Caleb, he was like, "That went really, really good." I could tell he was like, "We all stayed in character way better than normal," and he was super, super excited about it, and I was too. I mean, it definitely was a really good session. So, I play with the Grognards this weekend, which will be, I'm looking forward to it. And then yeah, we're just skipping one off the other, and we're gonna take this and we're gonna play it for as long as we can get people together, and for as long as we can get the games going. I mean, I'm gonna keep doing it. So there you go. That's the first session of the Shattered Shores. Um, for the young ones. I think that's what the video is going to be called, the young ones. But thank you for watching this. I have a couple of things I want to talk about as far as games go, and D&D and whatever. I'm going to make some videos as far as those are concerned. So I realize, I'll get back on track, but I'm still trying to do one of these videos every week, and obviously the live stream I have every Wednesday night. If you don't tune in for that, you really should. We have a really good time talking about games and life, whatever. Every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Central Time, the weekly Alaboom. But until next time, thank you for watching this. Take care of yourself, and yeah, we'll see you with another one of these videos. Very, very soon.